Okay, so today we're going to talk about argument. And what is your argument? Well, it's got to be debatable and it's got to be the main point that you are trying to make throughout the entire essay. It's basically the purpose of your essay in an argumentative essay, right? Is to make an argument. Okay, so what does that actually look like and where is it in the essay? Your argument, is going to be your thesis statement and your topic sentences. Right now, I only have two topic sentences because in this particular essay, you have two body paragraphs. Okay? So, your topic sentence 1 and topic sentence 2 are going to work together to support your thesis statement. And in fact, they're actually going to be the components of your thesis statement or part of the components of your thesis statement. And I'll tell you why. So let's say that the prompt that I'm working with for my in-class essay is, what kind of a hero is Odysseus in books 9 through 12 of the Odyssey? Okay, what do I need to do? Well, I need to think of a good describing word in order to encapsulate the kind of hero that I think Odysseus is. So I'm going to try to come up with an adjective that's going to paint a clear picture of who he is in these specific books. Okay? Now, you can say Odysseus is brave and strong. Sure, that's a perfectly fine argument. He's a classic hero because he proves himself to be brave and strong. And in that essay, you can kind of see that the main thing that I'm trying to argue is that he's a classic hero. And my reasons for supporting that he's a classic hero is because he is brave and strong. Okay? I'm laying out the terms of my definition of hero, and I just have to defend them. Now, it is helpful when studying literature to say things that are a little more complicated, right? Because people are complicated, and your argument is going to be richer and more sophisticated and nuanced if you can get at sort of different angles of people, especially somebody like Odysseus, who isn't just clearly brave and strong and in a kind of flat way, right? As we've talked about him, it's been made very clear that he has positive attributes and negative attributes. And maybe those both combine to create some sort of hero, and maybe it means that he's not a hero at all. You could argue it either way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly, and you would do this in an in-class essay, you could either do it in your pre-writing stage, or you can just kind of do it mentally. It's going to take us a little longer to walk through it right now than it would for you on the actual day because I'm like talking you through it. But let me show you a strategy. I'm just going to create a simple T-chart, and I'm basically going to say good attributes on one side, or good examples, and examples of him being a good hero is what I mean by that. And bad attributes or examples of him like not being a great hero on the other side. Okay, so what I've done here is I've created a T-chart. Let me just move this so you can see everything. So, again, our prompt is, what kind of a hero is Odysseus in books 9 through 12 of the Odyssey? I decided that when sorting out all my evidence of what kind of a hero he could be and categorizing it into good, positive, or bad, negative, I feel like there are good examples on both sides. So what sort of word is going to allow me to define the sort of hero that he is that would encapsulate that complexity? I could say he's a complex hero, he's an ambivalent hero, he's a complicated hero. I would find a good word and then I'd look it up in my thesaurus and see, is there anything that really encapsulates like what I'm trying to say? I've decided then that the word that I'm going to go with is complicated. He's so complicated. Okay, and now I'm going to switch colors, but I'm also going to start creating links to be like, what are the most interesting examples that I can put together in order to argue that he is complicated? And in order to turn that into an argument. Okay, so let's see. What is something that's rich, where there's a lot of evidence, something I really feel comfortable talking about? Now, this might be different for different people, but I'm going to take a look at this, and I'm going to say that I want to talk about, I'm really interested in his relationship with his men, right? Because that is the foundation of his travel home. That is his crew, right? His relationship with his men, him being a hero, it's part of him being a leader. Okay, I'm gonna actually add this idea of like leader, because maybe I want to put something like that in my thesis statement. Okay, so now that I know what I'm focusing on, I'm going to kind of, do I need to say that he's strong? Not really, don't need to focus on that. Do I need to say that he's cunning? Maybe if it relates to how he cares for his men, maybe that'll come up. But really, these are the ones I'm going to focus on. He cares for his men, for his good, positive. He's a complicated hero because he cares for his men as a leader. But then what's the negative side of that? Okay, taunts Polyphemus unnecessarily, doesn't have a strong moral code, selfish, ultimately fails men because he can't control them. I think that that's kind of the ones that go together to me are, this is related to both this and this. Okay, so I'm going to kind of pull that one out right now. Okay, and what it's done is it's allowed me to say, I'm going to create a specific thesis statement. It's going to answer the question about what kind of hero he is, but it's going to do it by focusing on this idea of leadership. Okay, so now I've gone back over to this idea of topic sentence 1 plus topic sentence 2 is going to equal my thesis statement. Now, if I want to say that Odysseus is a complicated hero and I want to focus on good and bad qualities, I think that the way that it makes the most sense to me is to say one paragraph is going to be focused on his positive qualities, and then the other one is going to focus on his negative qualities. Now, even if that's the case, just switching the order of those paragraphs changes the emphasis of your argument, depending on what you're trying to achieve ultimately. Now, what I'm trying to achieve is, I want to say, although he has some positive characteristics, he has some negative characteristics. Because I'm focused on him and the men, I want to kind of end with the idea that at the end of book 12, like, all of the men are dead, right? By the time that he washes up on Circe's island, and even when he's talking to the Phaeacians and telling them this whole story, he's the only one who's left, okay? So ultimately he did fail them. Now, yes, they played a role in that, but it makes the most sense to me to start out with this idea of, like, yes, he has these positive attributes, but ultimately he has these negative attributes as well, and that's sort of what leads to all of their downfall. I'm sorry, I meant to record myself writing all of that stuff so I could fast forward it and then it would look really cool, like, look at how fast I'm thinking. But I didn't do that because I wasn't thinking fast, because I didn't press the start button on the record. So, here's what I did. I wrote out topic sentences that are going to lay out the main ideas of each of my paragraphs, and I put them in the order that I'm also going to explore them in too. Okay, so for the first one, topic sentence 1. I wanted to focus on his positive traits because I wanted to actually emphasize his negative traits, and that's the sort of ending note that I want my essay to conclude with. So that's why I'm starting here. Establishing what are his positive things. We're saying he's complicated. What's the good stuff? So, Odysseus demonstrates positive heroic traits like bravery and dedication to them. Ooh, that's an unclear pronoun. Who is the them? His men. In several instances throughout books 9 through 12. Great. So, what can I expect from that I'm going to explore and talk about and prove in this topic, in this paragraph? I'm going to prove that he demonstrates bravery and dedication to his men in several instances. Okay? Several, you gotta have 3, right? If you say a couple, then 2. But let's think about what those examples are. They're going to be, and I'll explore more of this in a different video when I lay it out, like how to unpack evidence and things like that. I want to talk about, I really found the moment where his men run at him like happy little baby cows when they see him again and realize he's alive and Cersei hasn't turned him into a swine. Oh, Polyphemus and Cersei. Okay. And so I want to say that they love him. Okay, so I'm going to prove that his dedication to his men is not just proved through his actions, but the fact that they have like great love for him and true, genuine love that's like, I love you like I love my mama. Okay, great. So those are going to be my 3 points that I explore, and we'll talk more about those later, as I said. Then I have topic sentence number 2. However, his selfishness and inability to lead them effectively results in their ultimate deaths, proving him to be less heroic than he seems. Great. So what do I need to prove here? What I need to prove, the 2 points that I need to prove are that at times he's selfish, okay, in a destructive way, and he doesn't lead them effectively, okay? And then I'm going to end with this idea that, yeah, okay, he's going to be talking to the Phaeacians about what a great hero he is, and he went to the underworld, and he battled this monster and that, and he met all these gods and goddesses, and they all thought he was wonderful, unless they hated him, but also shows that he's wonderful. I'm going to say, none of that matters. First of all, it's all from Odysseus' perspective. And second of all, he's telling it within the context of, like, all of his guys are already dead. So that's ultimately where I'm going to go. But my point here is, I've got my 2 topic sentences. Then you may ask, what is your thesis statement? Your thesis statement, as I said, is just an equation of these things. So how can I write that in a way that's going to be effective and succinctly lay out what is going to be explored in the essay? Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the thesis statement where I need to answer the question. And the question is, what kind of a hero is Odysseus in books 9 through 12 of the Odyssey? Okay, so in books 9 through 12 of the Odyssey, Odysseus's role as leader, and maybe I want to say, maybe there's like a good adjective that goes there, like troubled role as leader. I think that's kind of good. Troubled role as leader. Demonstrates that he is a complicated hero. Okay, that's my answer to the question, that he's a complicated hero, because I'm focusing on good and bad. Okay? And why is this? So, this is going to be, the way that I'm going to structure this thesis statement is as what's called an enumerated thesis statement. Enumerated just means a list. So I'm going to make a list of the points I'm going to be defending, which basically means a list of the main idea of topic sentence 1 and the main idea of topic sentence number 2. So let me show you what this looks like. demonstrates this. He's a complicated hero because although he cares for and protects his men, which is the main thing that I'm pointing out here about his positive attributes. He makes several bad decisions, some bad decisions, critical bad decisions, love it. Critical mistakes, yeah. I want to make it seem like it's not just like, whoops, I made a mistake, that's an accident. It's like he's making bad choices. Critical decisions that maybe I'll just say poor decisions that doom them. Okay? And then that's going to get at the poor decisions is going to, for me, cover the selfishness and inability to lead them effectively. Okay? So let's see. Is there anything else that I need to do here? So I've said in this second topic sentence that, however, his selfishness and inability to lead them effectively results in their ultimate deaths, proving him to be less heroic than he seems. Great. So, like I have my 3 examples here, let's get at least 2, if not 3 examples of him either being selfish or not leading them effectively, which is going to counterbalance or really counteract, cancel out the good things that I established. Okay, so number 1, the most obvious example to me is when he's taunting Polyphemus, because he totally doesn't need to be doing that. Because it leads to Poseidon's curse. I also, since one of my good choices was he buries Elpenor, guys. Well, why does he have to bury Elpenor? It's because he kind of overstayed his welcome at Circe's. Not according to her. But he made his men stay there with him for an entire year when they could have been at least trying to figure out what the next steps were. Okay? So 2, stays at Circe's too long. Especially when they all wanted to stay with the Lotus Eater. He's like, no, we gotta go back soon. But then when they're at Circe's, he's like, yeah, this is actually pretty nice. Let's hang out with all these animals who are really soldiers turned into wolves and tigers and things like that. Okay, and what's the last one? Supervision for the cattle of the sun. Ugh. Surely he could have handled that situation differently.